For some time, the issue of vacant, often overgrown lots has been of concern to citizens across the island. These bushy areas not only pose a security threat, but have consequences for the health of residents, as they are perfect breeding grounds for rodents and mosquitoes. In this edition of In the Spotlight, Minister of Environment and Drainage, Dr. Denis Lowe, addresses this issue and outlines some of the steps to be taken by government to resolve it.
There has been a recent outcry in the public domain relative to the issue of unkept vacant lots across the country. And in the Ministry of the Environment, we've received several complaints from residents across Barbados about this matter. And of course, it is affecting all types of neighborhoods around the country. And as Minister of the Environment, I take full responsibility to address this issue to Barbadians and to give them a sense of what the government is doing to give redress to such an issue. Now, of course, there are persons who over time purchase lots, invest in land, which is a good thing, and that is not our concern. Our concern is that when people invest in lots, that some persons are leaving these lots unkept. They've now bordered on abandonment. And people who live across the street or on the left or right of these lots are now having a most torrid time in dealing with the menace that is now being created because of the abandonment of these lots. Now, I've just received an outline of a community, and I will name the community, it's the Southern Heights community, where there are in excess of 25 lots that have not been developed. And they've been left now, some of them with fully mature trees. What is happening as a result of that, and this is duplicated around the country, there are St. Michael communities, there are other Christchurch communities, there are St. Philip communities, St. Lucie communities across Barbados. And what is happening as a result is that people are having problems in their community with rat infestation or rodent infestation. They're having problems with mosquitoes. There has been an increase in the mosquito population. They're having problems with illegal dumping on these vacant lots. And of course, there are now cases reported where prowlers are hiding out in these areas and attacking persons who are going about their normal daily lives in the communities. Children are at risk because you cannot now afford to let your children go out in the late evening and play because of these unsightly locations in the communities. And what I want to do is to passionately appeal the persons who own these lots to move with some haste to clean them up. What is happening is that there are some people who believe it's the government's responsibility. But if in one community there are 25 vacant lots, can you imagine when you go around the country and do a check on these areas, how many lots you could actually come up with in need of clearing? And the government cannot take that responsibility and will not take that responsibility to do it. Because our view is that if you invest in land, even if you're living overseas, that you should have some contact point where you can receive regular information about the state of your land. I believe also that when government appeals, as we have been appealing to residents and owners of these lots, that there should be some regard for the government's concern. and that persons who are guilty of abandoning these spots should actually come forth and take care of them. The ministry is taking a position that we have to take action now. Now, I must say this, that we have spoken to the Ministry of Housing, who have open areas of land around the country, some of which have been in need of clearing, and we've spoken to them with regards to assisting them with our equipment where they have a deficiency in equipment to address those issues, because the same message is true for government agencies, for government employees. We just have reached a stage in our society where we have to hold people accountable for their deeds. And this is becoming a most unpleasant experience for the country, where people have just completely ignored their responsibility. Now, I should also point out that from time to time, developers in allocation of lots on their piece of land, they leave back an open area for recreational purposes. And I believe wherever you go in any development, you'll find that there is a common area really owned by the residents of that particular district or community for recreational purposes. And in that case, I wish to inform or reiterate that it is not the government's responsibility through the NCC or the Drainage Division to keep those lots cleared or to develop them. I've had cases where in recent times persons have castigated the government and the Ministry of the Environment for not coming in and cutting the grass on these areas and putting in infrastructure for play parks and so on. That is really not our responsibility. It is the responsibility of the community to develop those spaces. Now, I would say this, that from time to time, we go in and we will prepare the site. We may even put in some infrastructure for play purposes, recreational purposes. But that really is a gift from the government. What becomes very disheartening, though, is when you go in, you clear these areas, you make them recreational ready, and then 3 months later, you pass by and they're back in bush again. And then residents want to lambaste their MPs because they say the MPs are not dutiful in making sure these things are being done. They want to lambaste the government and say the government is not doing what it's supposed to do. The reality is that it is not government's responsibility to manage these sites. Where we can assist the residents in the community, we will do so. I had a wonderful story recently of a community where the residents through their neighborhood group requested a meeting with their MP. And in the course of the discussion, the residents indicated that they raise per month $20 per household for the upkeep of their play park area. They lawn it themselves, and they came to me and said they need some assistance because it is not a big community, and their fear was at the $20 per family per month, it would take them about 10 years to raise enough money to do everything that needs to be done. Now, that is a story where you can't ignore it, and certainly it is one of those cases where the government will step in and supplement the work being done by the community group to ensure that the services required are brought to bear on the community. And I think more communities need to do that. That's the way Barbados was developed, you know. Barbados was developed on a village system where each member of the village took responsibility for the safety and upkeep of that village, including the raising of the children. And that is why we've really grown into a society where there's a certain amount of accountability within communities for the safety and for the well-being of community members. And I don't think that that development or upward mobility or the creation of new communities should really change that principle. I think that principle should continue to hold. And certainly we want to encourage that is a feature of how our communities develop, how they live, how they move, and how they experience their beingness within their communities. So I ask myself the question, as the minister responsible for the environment, what really is the next step in this appeal? The next step in this appeal is that where individuals have ignored the appeal of the government to move with haste to correct the situation and to remove this menace from our society, that we are going to have to work with the relevant agencies to secure the correct information on ownership and to have a published appeal that includes the names of landowners so that they can get the strong message that we are serious about this. Now, I know that there has been conversation in the past where the Ministry of Health, the Ministry of the Environment, and the ministry responsible for land taxes contemplated a system where these lots, there'll be a levy placed against them whenever the government steps in and clean them, and that levy will also be attached to their land taxes, and that when that levy is not paid, that persons who wish to move forward on the development of their land or the sale of those lots will have to liquidate any outstanding debt brought against them because of this negligence. We still have to work out the legal details of that. And we are now in the final stages of a new Environmental Management Act, where we intend, with the guidance of the legal luminaries within the government, we intend to include a section dealing with this matter, because it is a critical issue that needs to be attended to. We want to make our communities safe. We want to ensure that when people invest in land and develop their land and build their beautiful homes, that next door or across the street are not unkept areas. It has an impact on the beauty of the community, and in some cases where it is not corrected, it has an impact on the value of people's property. And therefore, this is a simple attempt to say to Barbados, let us work together to keep Barbados clean, and let us always put Barbados first.
Minister of Environment and Drainage Dr. Denis Lowe addressing the issue of vacant lots across Barbados.